No, question 4.
No, question 5.
Question 4.
I have it marked as question 4.
Oh, I thought you said lesson 4. I'm sorry.
I thought that's it about me.
There appears to be some mistaken notions right in this area. That's okay.
You should see how I act when I don't have my hearing aids in. I got them in tonight.
Well, I can certainly sympathize with that. All right, let's begin with prayer. Our Father in heaven, thank you so much for the good day you've given us today. We're thankful for the safe arrival of everyone here tonight. And we're thankful for opportunities like this to come together, to open your word, study together, and enjoy the fellowship and edification that we can gain from being together here in the middle of the week. We pray you'll be with us as we study, be with those of our number that are traveling, and be with those who are unwell and needing your blessing. And we pray you'll help us to understand the things that we're about to study tonight is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So, we talked about last we finished up that God placed man in the garden, which is Gan, which is an enclosure or a park. In Hebrew, in Greek, it's a paradisos. It was a garden that was planted in the east, in a territory, a district, an area known as Eden. So it's east in Eden. And he put the man there. And so we talked about the fact that Adam was created outside the garden. And he filled them with all kinds of trees. And anybody remember the two main benefits of these trees?
Tree of life.
No, the regular trees. Pleasing to the eye and good for food. And then there were two special trees, the tree of life that would allow somebody to live forever, which we've learned about that. We would have figured it from the name over in chapter 3 and verse 22. And then tree of knowledge of good and evil, which also is pretty self-explanatory as to what it does. So what do we learn about the river? I still can't get over that the Lord God formed the man, Adam, from the dust of the ground, and the ground is Adam. Very interesting to me. So, question 4, what do we learn about the river that watered Eden in verses 10 through 14? How many rivers were there in Eden?
4 heads.
But parted in the 4 heads.
Yeah, but what does the text say?
There was one
There was one river.
river separated.
There was one river in Eden, and then it parted into 4. I don't know that they were major rivers when they parted, but I was trying to figure out how this worked. One river going into 4. Usually it's 4 rivers going into 1. I think geography changed a lot by the flood, and then by God separating the nations in chapter 11. So the first river was what? Pishon. And we're told there that it ran through the land of Havilah. There was gold, aromatic resin, and onyx there. And there are pictures from space that show an ancient riverbed that kind of goes through Saudi Arabia. I mean, obviously it's not desert. It wasn't desert then. The next one, Gihon, which ran through the land of Cush. Could be an area around the Black Sea. But again, we're calling these things out with regards to our present geography. Then you have the Tigris or the Hiddekel that went through the land of Asher. And then you have, interesting to me, what does it say about the river Euphrates? Nothing. We have all of this other, and which of all of these, probably the Euphrates is the most well-known. Yes, Tim.
You know the Joel Kramer, the guy that does the videos that I sent you links on, and he did a video on his thoughts on Eden, and I don't remember exactly, but there was something about the wording of this, I think, that he took to mean that the four rivers come together, when it says out of, but, and so basically where the Tigris and Euphrates do come down together, and then there was one that goes off to the east, and that fourth one, the Pishon, whichever.
Right.
Anyway, he could find where there had been a river
Right.
that goes across the desert.
Right.
Through
Yeah.
over to Saudi Arabia.
Right, and I've seen that too. In fact, here's a picture, maybe of that. Let me see if I can find which thing here. So this is the Persian Gulf, and they're saying Eden is right here, in the middle of what would be now water. Okay, and so the Tigris comes out of here. There's one river that comes in, and then you have the Gihon and the Pishon, and the Tigris and the Euphrates. So here's the land of Havilah, here's Cush. And again, you can, if you Google it, you can find all kinds of places where people think Eden is. Obviously, when the flood came, it was underwater and would have been flooded. And then when the continents, I believe, separated, it would also have changed the geography dramatically. Yes?
And I was just going to finish with, he says this is conjecture, and that's
Right.
what I mean. He's not absolute on it. But what's interesting about that video is where he finds where this river had
Right.
that end that goes across the desert, which, now nobody can travel across that way because you have
Right.
to go up and around like
Right.
Abraham did.
Right.
Anyway, it was
It's what creates the Fertile Crescent, because you can't go that direction. Yeah. I tell you what, how many of you have been over in eastern Washington and seen Dry Falls? That's where the Columbia River used to go. Okay, and there's huge cliffs where the river used to flow over and was changed because of volcanic action. And so it doesn't surprise me that there could have been a river that went across there, yes.
I think another thing that's very interesting, at least to me on this, is, and it goes back up to verse 5, that the water cycle.
Right,
We understand how it works now. All the rivers flow to the sea, and the ocean evaporates,
Right.
and clouds, and that's the water cycle. But it's not going to rain until Noah.
right,
And so, how did this? And it became four rivers.
Right.
We're not talking a little, spring
right,
burbling.
right. Yeah, it's really interesting. I understand, and I'm not sure how it works either. I'm not trying to cop out or anything, but God said this is the way it was, so I'll believe it, whether I can figure it out or not. Okay, question 5 is going to take us a little bit longer time. Describe the creation of woman and marriage, and that's in verses 18 through 25. And I noticed as I was doing the lesson that I didn't even cover verses 15 through 17, where man is placed in the garden. He gives him there the house rules for living in the garden. You can eat everything that you want, but you can't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And when you eat from it, you will certainly die. And so there's man being placed in the garden. Again, Eve is going to be created in the garden, and that's what we're about to see. So just as some prompt questions, what prompted God to create woman? What was as it's listed here? I'm not saying God wasn't, he didn't say, oh no, what have I done? I've created man, lonely person. But what was the reason, or what does he say here for the creation of woman? It's not good that man be alone, okay? And when you go back to chapter 2 or chapter 1 and verse 31, it says everything was very good. That's in the context of the creation story from chapter 1, where we have the creation of man and woman together. So now we're coming back and backing up a little bit there. And so as we're looking at chapter 2 here in this section, the creation of woman hasn't happened yet. And so what did God say that he was going to do?
I'll make it helper.
Okay, I will make a helper suitable for him. Do any of you have in your Bibles, I don't know which translation has help meet as one word? King James does. There is no such word as help meet. It's a help meet for him. It's not one word. Or as my translation has, a helper suitable for him. And helper in the Hebrew is not talking about someone who's, your little assistant here. It's someone that you can't succeed without. It's an absolute requirement, one that coincides or is fitting for him. And man is incomplete without her. She's incomplete without him as well. And in the creation story then, what's the last thing God created? Woman. So she's kind of the crowning glory of God's whole creation here. Because he's done with creation after she's created.
The only thing he didn't create out of the ground.
Pardon me?
And the only thing he didn't create from the ground.
Yes. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But that's a good point. I'm glad you noticed that. So what did God have Adam do? You're too far. Yeah, he had all the animals come in front of the man or Adam to see what he would name them, which is, in essence, a sign of authority. You get to, when you have a child, you name it. When you have a dog, you name it. If you buy a house and you want to, you can name it. It's a sign of authority. And who gave man the authority to name the animals? God did. So it's assigned by God. But it also served a secondary purpose. And what do you suppose that was? Besides showing man that he has authority over the creation which God's given him, what's the secondary purpose?
That he doesn't have a helper.
Yes, that there's no one there suitable for him. There's nothing in the animal creation that would be a suitable companion for him. And there's a lot of reasons for that. None of the animals were created in the image of God. There was no innate intelligence. There's no emotions. There's no power to choose. There's no conscience in that. And because he had dominion over them, they are not equal. And I guess, from just a reproductive point of view, he couldn't be fruitful and multiply with them. Okay? And so that latter purpose here has been fulfilled because Adam is going to realize here that for Adam, no suitable helper was found. Okay? In my pre-marriage counseling that I do, I say, God helped Adam along because most men would say, oh, I'm perfectly happy, I don't need anybody else. And so God showed him that he really was alone. So, Jeannie, what did God do next?
He got Adam to sleep.
Okay, so he caused Adam to fall asleep. And, do we still do that when we're doing surgery with people? Yes. It's kind of interesting that was placed there. And he did what? How did he make the woman?
Out of Adam's rib.
So he took a rib from the man and created woman. Again, as Jeannie pointed out a minute ago, she was not made from the earth. She is part and parcel of man. And Adam's going to realize that when he comes to the point of giving her a name as well. And then God brought her to Adam. And in line with everything else that God created, she was beautiful, she was attractive to him, You can tell that he's filled with joy. You can tell that from his reaction. And I always kind of like to picture this as the wedding. God is bringing the woman to the man. And Adam named her in a primary way, and a kind of a latent sign of authority over her, though I don't think that that's as much as with the animals. Man in Hebrew is the Hebrew word ish, I-S-H. And in Hebrew, woman is ish-ah. Yes?
This is one of the most fascinating things in the whole Bible to me, this account of woman being created, because, I mean, we have images of Jesus, of what people think he might have looked like, but nothing of God. And it talks about he caused Adam to go to sleep and then closed up the womb.
Right.
So when I think about that in relation to surgery, like you were saying, it just baffles my mind to know, how did that happen?
Right.
It's one of the most fascinating things.
I will tell you, when I was a young boy, probably just entered my preteens, I made a very diligent search to count my ribs, because I was sure that men should have one less. Okay, and apparently it's not. You don't inherit one less rib like Adam had. So yeah, it is. It's fascinating to me too, and it looks like a modern surgical procedure that is being recorded, 4,000 years ago.
Well, it says she is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh.
Yes, she was taken out of him.
I know that, but the flesh part, I'm questioning.
I think that's poetic.
Yeah.
Nor is there any part where Adam goes through a recuperation period.
No.
Which strikes me as
Right. Well, you have Jesus healing people with shrunken arms and limbs, and says, "Stretch it out," and it's done. People that have never walked are walking and leaping, and so it's amazing how that works. And so then God, and I don't think yes I do. Then God gave the 4 basics of marriage, and I'm just going to really quickly hand this to you, or give this to you. And that's all out of verse 24. A man is to leave his parents, so there's severance from the parents. He is to be united with his wife. There is the idea of permanence. They two shall be one flesh is unity. And then it also says that they were both naked and they felt no shame, and there's the intimacy. That's to exist within marriage. So severance, permanence, unity, and intimacy. All right, any questions on that? What do we learn about Satan and human beings in chapter 3, verses 1 through 6? Let's begin. Let's talk about Satan. What do we find out about him here? Okay, he's crafty.
As a servant.
Okay. I think crafty as a serpent would come later. I think he's giving the serpent a bad name here. I think he is using a serpent's body to work, because Satan is a spirit. I think overall we could say he's completely evil.
Yeah, he called the God a liar.
Yes. In fact, John, and this is one of my favorite passages, John 8 and verse 44, where Jesus said that he was a liar and a murderer from the beginning, and that his native tongue is lying. Okay? So he's completely evil. He called God a liar. He implied that God didn't love them. He implied that God was holding back on them and not allowing them to reach their full potential. And we'll learn later in some kind of cryptic passages that it appears that he was once an angel who fell, along with some other angels as well, and that hell was created for the devil and his angels. So it's a place that was created specifically for them. And listen, if you're going to give somebody choice and you want them to do right, what do you have to also provide?
What
Yeah, the alternative. You have to allow the alternative to exist if you're going to give people choice. So what do we learn about? Oops, I didn't put a thing on the last one there. We'll cover that in a minute. What do we learn about humans?
We're fallible.
Pardon me?
We're fallible.
We're fallible.
Susceptible to being like.
We're susceptible. We're able to be tempted. We're able to be fooled, and we have a choice. Okay. Did they know what God had told them about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil?
Yes.
How do I know that?
They quoted back to him.
Yeah, they quoted it back to him. In fact, Eve adds a little bit that Moses didn't have. We're not supposed to eat it. We're also not supposed to touch it. And he said, then you'll be like God. What were they already? They're already created in his image. They're already like him. But they were given this choice. Pardon me, somebody said something.
They're already immortal.
Yes, well, they have immortality hanging on a tree right there next to them all the time. They were given a choice of this, which, Satan is telling this is what it'll give you. And then on the other hand, you have what God said about it. And what did they choose? They chose not to believe God. They chose not to trust him. And so then we have a whole description as Eve is looking at the fruit and running this through her mind. What's the first thing that he said? She saw the fruit and it was what? Good for food. How would she know that? What had God said about it? God said it's poison. So I don't know how she came to the conclusion that it looked like it would be good for food. I mean, I've seen things before that sure look like they would taste nice. Well, I'm sure, yeah, the fruit's there. And if it's like everything else God created, beautiful. So it was, well, that brings up the second one, which is what? It's good for food and it's what? Pleasing the eye. Yes, Kate?
Isn't it kind of like a representation of how sin is now? Like, a lot of times sin seems really appealing,
Oh, yeah?
but, in the end, it's death. The initial appeal of the sin,
Right.
Looks like it would be good.
Right? No, I think that's exactly right. I was trying to think. I don't know if in our travels in Europe or whatever, I've seen what looked like really good pastry, chocolate deliciousness. And I bought one thinking, oh, wait, this is going to be good. And I take a bite. And it's not. So sometimes what appeals to the eye that you think is going to be good for food turns out not to be. And then what was the last one? Yeah, the desire to make one wise. And so she believed Satan's lie. He said, you will be like God, you'll know all of this stuff. Which, by the way, is the way Jesus was approached in temptation in Luke 4 and Matthew 4. And 1 John, or 2 John talks about this. You have the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. They all worked on Eve, or the woman here, she's not Eve yet, and they do not work on Jesus. And where's Adam? He's right there. He's right next to her. And did Adam know God's will? Yes, he was the one that probably told Eve. And so he is complicit because he's now going to join her. But the Bible is very specific. Paul tells us Eve was deceived, Adam was not. Which I don't know what that says about Adam. I'm not proud of him. If you're deceived, you can see, well, but if you go in with your eyes wide open, that's a whole other thing. And then the last point that I have up there already, that God knew this could happen and had already has a plan in place We're going to read about it here in just a second to remedy if it did. Okay, question 7. What happened when they ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge from verse 7?
They realized they didn't have any clothes.
Okay, immediately their eyes were open. Okay, so everything that they couldn't see before, they can now see. And all of the good and the evil is all there, can be seen. And then when their eyes were opened, it's not that they hadn't seen each other before. I mean, they've been in the garden for I don't know how long. And they've been walking around with no clothes on for I don't know how long. Have you ever been around little children who just walk around naked? Have you been with little children who would prefer to have their clothes off and run around naked? And there's no shame. And why is that?
Because they don't know.
Because they are innocent. They're innocent. Now their eyes are open. They realize they're naked, and what did that bring in their lives? Shame. They were shamed. They're so, let me put that up there. They're so ashamed they did what? Okay, they tried to cover themselves. Okay? The word for covering here is Hagorot, Hagorot, only found here in the Bible. And some of your translations will have aprons or loincloths or belts.
But it says they sewed them. Where did they get a needle to sew? I'm just asking.
I don't know, maybe they used sap to get them together. I don't know. How do you know they didn't have needles?
They used super.
I don't know how they did it.
Sewed.
It says they sewed them together.
Yeah, it does.
What did they just eat? The tree of knowledge. So they now know how to sew.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Okay, well, I don't know how.
What they sewed with.
Yeah.
Maybe they just took some of the leaves.
I don't know. They put vines and tied.
How did those weaver birds sew?
Yeah, there's a good. Thank you, Robin. Have you seen those videos of weaver birds
Yeah.
that build these beautiful woven nests? They don't even have hands, people. They do that with their beaks. It's fascinating that they can do that.
Well, spiders make webs.
So, yeah, there you go. Yes, Terry.
I've always wondered, and maybe I'm not remembering or what, but if they were naked before and obviously knew it, and it wasn't a problem or it didn't bring shame to them, what is it that after this happened told them that it was shameful? If they were still the only two people, why would that be a shameful thing?
I think it's a principle that we are taught, and that's kind of innate with us to a certain extent, that nakedness is shameful. You see, I mean, nakedness is generally described in the scriptures as being shameful. Is it in was it in 2 Corinthians? See, this is the kind of thing I like. It's like I'm at the fair and somebody's asked me a question. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Paul said, for we know that if, this is verse 1, for we know that if this earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, an eternal house in heaven, not built by human hands. Meanwhile we groan, longing to be clothed instead with our heavenly dwelling, because when we are clothed, we will what? Not be found naked. Okay? So there's something that God has placed in us that causes that. And while we're in this tent, we groan, but we don't want to be unclothed, he says in verse 4, but to be clothed instead with a heavenly dwelling. Which is in my opinion, shout it to the heavens, this is my opinion, that the righteous are going to be raised how? What are they going to be raised with?
Body.
New bodies. New bodies, created for that. What about the evil dead? I think they're going to be raised naked. They have no body. There'll be spirits, but no body. And that's part of the punishment. Just chew on that. Think about it. It's free. It didn't cost me anything to tell you, so.
That's what I'm wondering, if they knew they were opposite or different from each other, but that didn't mean anything to them because only animals.
Well, and when Adam saw Eve, he was really happy. So, I don't know. There's a lot of things that we're told here that, we can think about, but I don't know that there's anything else to say about it. So aprons, loincloths, or belts. Almost always it's aprons. Yes?
I have a question, kind of going on a different little tangent. Is there any significance to them not having names before this event? Because he's not called Adam and she's not named Eve till after they sinned.
Yeah, well, it's Adam, his hand, because that thing I had up there before, it's Ha-Adam. So we've just shortened that for Adam. And Ish and Isha is man and woman. Yes, but as far as having a name, and God's going to use Adam. I mean, it's his word, and they're going to use Eve from now on too, the name that he gives her. But that is an interesting. I guess if there's nobody else around, you don't have to worry about it, because who else are you going to be talking to? Is this person here? So.
But when God found them, he also said to them, who told you?
Yes. Well, you're really getting ahead of me here, Jeannie.
I'm doing what?
You're getting ahead of me here.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're
Well,
going too slow.
didn't they gain
Hurry up, Dan. Let's get on with this story. What? Go ahead, Fluffy.
Didn't they gain that knowledge from the tree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, when they ate the fruit, they got the knowledge. Okay. So, the covering apparently was insufficient to them as well. And we're going to see that later. And again, I think it was, if it's aprons, it's from the waist down is what was being covered. So the genitalia is what's being covered here.
You notice how they're passing the buck.
We are not there yet, Fluffy.
Oh,
Good night. Somebody else want to teach a class tonight? I'm not done with this. So, when the woman looked at the fruit and she saw that she thought it was good for food and that it would taste good and that it was pleasing to the eyes and desirable to make one wise, let me ask you, how pleasant was it for them when they got the knowledge? It was horrible.
yeah.
This knowledge was not what they wanted. They're ashamed. They're sorrowful. They're fearful now. There's nothing good that came out of that. They're not saying, well, at least I know everything now, or I have a lot more knowledge than I had. And they're certainly not feeling like they're God, which is what Satan told them. You'll be like gods, knowing good and evil. So on question 7, is there any other comment? Yes,
I just
Jonathan.
want to say, back to what the teaches about Satan, he does not care one whit about
No.
any of us.
No. What's he trying to, what's his motive?
Spite God.
Yes, to hurt God. Here's his creation, it's created in his image, and I'm going to, in fact, when Jesus is talking and Paul is talking later on, what's Satan's most formidable weapon? What does he have the power of? Oh, grave, where is
Death.
the power of death? And right here's where he got it. He caused them to die. He caused them to die in their relationship with God, and he brought about the process that's going to cause them to die physically. You're exactly right. He doesn't care one bit about humanity, about human beings, or you or I. All right. Question 8. What was their reaction when the Lord came into the garden? That's the first thing they did.
They did.
They tried to hide where? Among the trees of the garden. I'm not sure what that was, and what caused them to try to hide? What caused them to do that? No.
They said they were
Fear of death because if you become, they die if they ate.
If we look at,
sin.
I'll find it here. Verse 8. What's the first line in verse 8?
They heard the sound of the Lord.
They heard the sound of the Lord. Okay, and that would appear to me to be something that was a normal occurrence. That the Lord was among them and having fellowship with them and interacting with them. He's walking there in the cool of the day. Previous to this, when they would hear the Lord walking in the cool of the day, what do you suppose they did? They went to meet him. What did they do this time? They ran and hid. And so what does the Lord... What the Lord... Oh, I just gave it to you. That was too fast. He said, where are you? Why did he ask that question? Okay, he knew they would be hiding. Did he know where they were? Yes. Yes, he knew where they were. What did they not know? They didn't know where they were, especially with respect to God. They weren't sure about that. He's asking them, where are you now? You know, you're usually right here and you're not here. Where are you? And I love verses 10 and 11. Somebody want to read that for me? Read verse 10 and 11 out loud.
And he said, I heard the sound of you in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself.
Okay, so let's just stop there. Have you ever had a small child who just gives up the whole spiel with the first sentence? You know, it's like they come out of the kitchen and they've got chocolate chip cookies all around their mouth, and you say, well, what have you been doing? Well,
Nothing.
you know, it's pretty obvious. And so he says here, you know, I heard you. I was ashamed because I was naked. And what does God say? Who told you you were naked? There's nobody else in the garden with the ability of speech. I mean, the serpent did for a while there with Satan within him. And then he asked, have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat? Not, I suggested that you not eat it. Not even, I just told you. It's, I commanded you not to eat it. I mean, it's all out there now. Okay, question 9. What's occurring in verses 12 through 13?
Finger pointing party.
Yes, Randy?
Where they're passing the buck.
Even back in verse 10, he's already trying to justify why he was hiding.
Right,
Adam was.
right.
So,
Yeah, here's the reason why I was hiding.
so we're pretty good at that.
Right, oh, very much so. And so I heard pass the buck, finger pointing. I always called it the blame game. It's not my fault, it's their fault. And
He didn't say I was ashamed, he said I was afraid, right?
he says there, I was afraid.
So he was more afraid of God's reaction.
Yes, he knew he disobeyed God. Yeah. So the blame game usually goes to the last person when there's nobody else on the other side. And it starts with who here? Who's the first one to speak? Adam. And what does he say?
The woman that you put with
Okay, so there's double blame here that Adam is trying to completely exonerate himself from. Because it's the woman You gave me. Okay? You gave me the woman, and she gave me the fruit, and I ate it. Not mentioning that he knew exactly where she got it from and ate it with his eyes open. He was not deceived. Okay? And what did the woman say?
The serpent deceived her.
The serpent deceived me and I ate. Is that true? It's absolutely true, Terry.
I've often wondered why he didn't speak up and stop her from doing that, because he knew.
You mean Adam?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he wasn't deceived. She was being deceived, and he could have interjected and kept her
Right.
from doing that. I've often
Right.
wondered why he didn't do that.
I don't know that I have ever thought about that, but an answer popped into my head. Have you ever wanted something but weren't willing to do it, not knowing it wouldn't be right, and then somebody else does it for you and you join in? They take the initiative and you join in to the circumstance. Now listen, I would never, for instance, I would never buy a lottery ticket. I would never buy a lottery ticket. Would I be happy if somebody bought one for me? I don't know. But it's kind of like that. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't spend my money on it. But if somebody gave me a birthday card and there's a lottery ticket in it, I'm probably going to scratch it and see what's going on. Okay. So he saw her. Maybe he was thinking, "This is my opportunity to have some of this, and I don't have to pick it. I don't have to do the deed and reach out and grab it." I don't know. The thought just came to me. It's a really good question, though.
I don't know if he said to Eve, why do you have this fruit, or why are you offering this fruit to me, why would you eat this fruit?
Right.
So he was, I think, thinking of,
Right. Well,
she was a gift to him from God.
and she says here, the serpent deceived me and I ate, and that's exactly right. But did she have the knowledge to overcome the deceit? Which still makes her culpable. Makes Adam culpable because he should have never had it. In fact, my view of it, Adam should have said, "Keep your hands off that fruit. We're not doing that." He did not protect her. And I don't know that that was necessarily a role that was given to him in the garden, but it seems like you would do that with any human being, any other person, prevent them from doing something. Henry?
Yeah, what I'm thinking about is disobedience to both her and Adam. And that's what I think was getting at. That they realized that they disobeyed God.
Oh yeah, yeah. So let's stop there. February 4th, we'll go through the curses.
What question?
That's question 10. And lesson 4 is printed back there. It's in the shelf. And so if you want to get ahead, that'll be great. And thank you very much. Are you leading singing? Okay. Will's going to do the invitation.